Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 2% Q&A class. Sorry for the late start. We just had a little bit of technical issues, but hey, we're going to get right in there. My name is Denise, and we have the lovely Sydney Holmes here also to help answer your questions. So yeah, welcome.
Hi, everyone. We're so excited to be here today, and some really great questions have come through. So we're excited to serve you guys and make sure that you have clarity and order.
Awesome. So we'll jump right in because we want to be mindful of your time. So we'll start with the very first question. And it says here, this morning, we chatted a little about financial worth. My current affirmation is about an abundance of money through multiple sources of income. I find myself at a loss when thinking about identifying financial worth. I feel like there should be a formula to help determine this. My question is, how do I go about defining my financial worth? So what do you think about this, Sydney?
Yeah, so this is a great question. The first thing I would say here is that you have to find your set point. So kind of like a thermostat, where are you set financially? That is kind of where you're always landing. And then the question that you're asking when you're asking about your set point is, how much have you made before? How much do you want to make in a month? And who do you have to be in order to make that? So how are you serving? And then what you want to do is you want to implement the tools that you're learning from either, One Thought Away, from Thinking into Results, in order to carry out the belief in the emotions behind the formula for success, which is your financial worth. So this could be through auto-suggestion. It could be through affirmations. It could be through writing out your goal every day. And it's all about our beliefs around money is what we're being asked here. So some really great affirmations, if you're looking to enhance your belief around money, could be that, me and money are besties is one that I use often. Another one could be that money compounds quickly into my bank account. And these are just different ways of really enhancing our knowledge around money, our beliefs around money. But it really starts with it going back again to what our set point is around money and the beliefs that we have.
I love that, Sydney. And I love how you shared a couple of affirmations. And I agree, like you have to set that point and decide that this is how much I want to make, and this is what I'm going to focus on, and really, start to, like Sydney said, start to implement those tools that you are learning through the One Thought Away program, and just say those affirmations every day, a few times a day. Do some mirror work. That's always such a key thing to do with any affirmations.
And another area I would really explore here is for this person is, do I have limiting beliefs around money still? What do I really want, and what do I really, really desire?
Exactly. And, a good thing that you could do or think about is, let's say you're currently making $100,000 a year, but your mindset is only set at 10,000. So the 90,000, let's say you have 100,000, you're going to spend that 90,000 just like that, because all your mindset is focused on is that $10,000. So shifting your focus, right? Shifting your belief on knowing that you are worth that, 100,000 or whatever set point that you put for yourself, and that, I think that's really, really important. So you want to make sure that you set that temperature in your subconscious mind, continue to affirm that with yourself. And then, you'll start to see these changes happen, and you'll start to feel that you are worth every penny there, like that $10 million, if that's what you write down, right?
Yes, that's a great point. All right, should we move to the second question?
Sure.
Awesome. So I'll ask the question. So I feel like I am lacking enthusiasm when it comes to executing my goal. Denise, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, this is such a great question. I've been through that, and I'm like, I have to look at a few things and kind of ask myself some questions, like, does my goal align with me? Maybe my goal's not big enough, so I don't have that don't feel the energy. I don't feel the enthusiasm to like really reach for that big goal. Goal. And then also, maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Like I've been there, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I've got to do all this stuff in order to reach my goal. And then I lose that enthusiasm because I'm so overwhelmed, right? So it's about, thinking about the steps that you have to do. Another one that I used to do is I would be prone to procrastination. Terrible habit. And, it always comes back every now and again, but I stay focused on where I want to go. And when I'm feeling that I don't have that enthusiasm, there are tools that I like to use in order to raise that enthusiasm for myself. To raise my vibration. One is to put on some really good music that I'm going to just get up, dance, move my body. Maybe I just need to step back, pause, take a break. So I'll get outside, get in nature, really breathe in some fresh air, move my body in any way that I possibly can, because I know that that's really going to relieve any, anxious feelings, that feelings of overwhelm, just letting things go. Maybe do a workout because that really helps to release that stress also. And then I also like to use my essential oils because they can instantly affect your moods, right? So, there's different ways that I know that I can raise my vibration in order for me to come back to that table, take that step back, but then come back in with lots of enthusiasm, a different look at it, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I love that. I'm just getting onto the essential oils game. So
Awesome.
It's a great one. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. What I would say towards this question is really enthusiasm is a higher level emotion. And when we look at what the opposite of enthusiasm is, it's bored. So you quit before you begin when you're bored. And or when you begin or when you start, whatever it is. So what it's telling me is your goal, are you enthusiastic about your goal? Your goal has to be make you so enthusiastic that you are jumping out of bed in the morning, excited to start your day. So ways in which to really tap into that enthusiasm, like Denise said, not only exercise, I do that all the time. I find that one's a great one. Music, we see Delynn every single Tuesday at 12 p.m. dancing around as she's getting started her webinars. Essential oils, that's another great one. One area that I would add into that is reading chapter 9 of Think and Grow Rich. Go back and read chapter 9 and put that fire under your desire, right? Because enthusiasm is built on a really good desire. And if we're not being enthusiastic about our goal, that just means that we need to build the fire in our desire a little bit more and make it that much bigger.
Yes. And I love what Lindsay said, meditation,
Yes. Yeah.
Meditating. And your puppy wants to add something.
My puppy feels my energy always.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love those. I love those ideas and those tips. And yeah, really going back and picking up that book and rereading something that we've learned. It's one of the tools that we have. And, even though we study a book, sometimes you always have to refer back to a certain chapter within that, depending on what's going on in your situation or in your life at that point, right? So very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
All right, so let's move on to our third question. And it says, how do I really take control of my paradigm?
Yeah, so I can get us started here. There's really two ways to control a paradigm. The first is constant space repetition. So that's really doing the opposite to what the paradigm is. And just think of the word repetition. You'll hear it all the time, especially in this work when we talk about constant space repetition. And then the other item that will change a paradigm that we not necessarily want to happen is an emotional impact. So this one doesn't happen very often, and it's usually negative. So a good example of this could be 9/11 in New York. Everyone who was affected by that went through an emotional impact. Their lives were changed forever. Another example, maybe on the more positive side of an emotional impact, would be having a baby. Your life changes forever. So that is why we really utilize in this work at, the Pursuit Institute or with the 2% Club, the idea of the constant space repetition, because we're tapping into it all the time. We're doing repetition in order to change the paradigm that's within us and we're impressing new habits, new ideas, and new beliefs upon us. So what are we doing? We're becoming aware of what we want.
I love that. Yes. And one of the things that I like to do is, a paradigm, a habit, right? Behavior, something that's negative. So think of, a habit that might be, I procrastinate. So then thinking about what is the opposite of that, and then really, so any habit or behavior, if it's a negative one, I would suggest taking a piece of paper, writing down all of those habits that are not serving you, right? And then take another piece of paper and think of the opposite, having that, the negative one, and then what's the positive side of that? And then really in much detail as you can, the negative one, the positive one. And then the best part is to take that sheet of paper that has all those negative behaviors and habits that we've, brought up to us up until yesterday, then burn it, right? And that's liberating, right? You're just there, you're burning that piece of paper and you're like, goodbye, because now you're bringing in positive and just reaffirming it, doing that mirror work. Just like Lindsay said, repetition. It's so important. That's how our subconscious starts to, believe it. We start to believe in ourselves and believe in all those positive habits that we're starting to create for ourselves.
100%. And I would say that part of the reason why, 2% Club happens every single day of the week is because of this idea of taking control of your paradigm. So it's all through repetition. So that's why we offer study groups every week, every day, to be more distinct on it. But that's why we also say to join webinars, join Q&As. The more that you're hearing this information, the more that you are shifting those paradigms that you no longer want. And I love the idea of burning the piece of paper, right? You're burning the paradigm.
Yep, letting it go. Letting go of what no longer serves you. And it's like starting afresh, right? So
exactly. Yeah. So the next question that's asked here is, how do you suggest I get into the spirit of it?
For me, I would say that probably one of the best things to do is meditate, like go within and then just visualize this ideal image of what you actually want. Like, what are you desiring? And do this, spend as much time as you need to, but really going inward, meditating and see what comes up. Right? That's what I feel is getting into the spirit of it.
Yeah, I would say when we think about like the spirit of it, it's the same thing as taking inspired action. So how you get into the spirit of it is raising your vibration. So like what we said, you can do meditation, music, getting outdoors. And when we're in this higher vibration, we want to take action with it. So that's the inspired action that we're talking about. And that's the best time. And you'll notice this in your results in throughout your day, that when you're in inspired action, you get so much more done in the day because you're in the spirit of it.
Exactly. I love that. And Lindsay, I love the way you're commenting it, really. She's like, visualize it, feel it. You want to feel that excitement, because when you're raise your vibration, you're going to feel it. You're going to get a lot more done. Like Lindsay says, walk outside, do gratitude out loud to yourself, like be grateful for everything, and just, continue to move forward and feel that excitement. And
100%. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see, what is the next question? Oh, here we go. I feel like I'm constantly getting ready to get ready.
This is a great question. And I want to start off by saying that when we're saying this, usually that's paradigm. So we always want to move our bodies towards what we want. Taking action will be the only function really that will make you go into creation and using our minds to really elevate what we want. So when we think about the idea of action, remember that everything starts in the mind, the inspired action, being in the spirit of it. You have to have all of that in order for action to be taken. And usually when we talk about, I feel like I'm constantly getting ready to get ready, it's because our paradigms want us to be perfect. But perfect usually does not happen, or perfection doesn't happen until the action is taken. So it's usually, it's really important that we take on the statement of do it now, do it messy. You'll be able to clean it up as you go. And in a book I really love around this, if you're feeling like, you're constantly getting ready to get ready, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. The first chapter in that book is about doing 1% every day. So if we think about that idea of doing 1% every day, by day 30, you have now done 30%. It feels less daunting, you're less overwhelmed, but really the true item that you have to accomplish when you're thinking about this idea is taking action, getting uncomfortable with yourself.
I love that, Lindsay. Sorry, Sydney. I don't know what I was saying there.
All good.
Sorry, Sydney. Yeah, I love that. And I always like to tell people that, think of it like an analogy is that you want to paint a room. You want to freshen up a room, and you're not just going to jump out of bed and just start painting. There's always the prep work, but being consistent with that prep work, like Sydney says, doing that 1% every day. But with the analogy of painting a room, you got to gather all of your tools, your brushes, your rollers, get the paint. Maybe you have to prime the wall first. Maybe you have to sand the baseboard or whatever down, but getting the preparation work done in order for you to start to do the actual work in the painting analogy, right? And then taking that step and doing the work, right? Painting the walls is the work in that analogy. So yeah. And the thing is, if you constantly say, oh, I'm getting ready to get ready, that actually you have to be careful with that, because you can use that also as an excuse in order to get the work done. You're just always getting ready to get ready. But like Sydney says, taking that 1% every day, and within 30 days, you've got 30% done. And yeah, it just continues to grow.
Yeah, I really love that analogy, because there is prep work and you have to remember that, but you have to know when it's time to launch yourself. And so a wording that I use for myself, if I'm feeling like, there's two that I use for myself, when I'm feeling like I'm just getting ready to get ready and I'm not moving myself forward, is number one, I put in front of the sentence, I choose, because you're putting choice towards what you want and what you're doing. So if you're saying, I choose to do this, and it doesn't feel right, you'll change your action. And then the other item I do is I always put it into the past tense. It's done. It's done. It's done.
Yes. That's a really good one.
Yeah. Even my to-do list, instead of writing a to-do list, I write a to-done list.
Oh, I like that.
Because it's done.
Yeah, I like that. Shifting that.
Yeah. When you shift your internal dialogue, you'll shift your world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just going to, because people that are just listening afterwards in the chat, Lindsay says, know what you want, who do I need to be? Go within, do self-image work, and then jump. Yeah, jump right in.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so the next question that we have on here is, I'm trying to act as though, but am caught up in my family/group paradigms and finding it difficult to get out.
Oh my gosh. Family paradigms. Yes, they'll come at you at all sides for sure. But you have to remember that we can't control other people. We can only control ourselves and how we respond to a situation, not reacting, but more responding, to different situations. We have to be responsible for our own actions and how we want to lead our life. Like, where do we want to go? Who do we want to be? What do we want to do? Focus on more of what you want to do, where you want to go to, who you want to be, and focus on that every day.
Yeah, I love that point, because you're really in control of the situation when you respond to it, and you're nurturing the beliefs that you're carrying around the situation. Something to remember is that you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with. As cliche as it sounds, your family, they want you to stay in your old paradigm because that's what they are comfortable with. It is uncomfortable when we start growing. It always is. It's not only uncomfortable for us, but it's uncomfortable for everyone around us. It's like you're rebirthing yourself. So just being in a community like this will help you continue on. This is the accountability to help you progress forward, help remind you to respond instead of reacting to situations. That's what we're here for. And make sure you're leaning on even your accountability partner for this help. And I would say too that for families, friends, remember that everyone is doing the best with what they can and what they have with their current level of awareness. What this question is saying to me is it's just feedback for yourself. It's all about the learning experience that you have learned from this, that you can now progress yourself forward.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and just think of it, it's an opportunity for yourself to grow. We're here to grow, right? So everybody is at their own level of awareness. And as long as we focus on what we're doing and growing ourselves, it's going to make a difference in our life and where we're going.
100%.
And exactly what Lindsay says in the chat is that those around you slowly start to shift because they see where you're going, what you're doing and how you've grown. And they're like, I need to grow myself. You know, they shift. Exactly. They see this and they want to grow also. And they're like, what do I need to do?
I feel like I am point blank example of that because obviously I learned this material from seeing the shift in my mom, and your kids are always seeing, they see the most truth in you. They see everything that happens. So how you are showing up in your physical body to the exterior world will always impact your family for the better when we allow that.
100%. Yes.
All right. Should we move to the next question?
Sure. So the next one is, make sure I've got it here. That was the family. Okay. What are examples of things someone would fake it until they make it? Things that aren't serving them.
Yeah, so this is a great question. One thing that I'll point out is I don't love the word fake. So a good tip that I use, and as you guys might have noticed, I'm someone that really watches my wording, is that I change the word fake it till you make it to faith it until you make it to get what you want to become. So have and hold faith that it will be coming to you. And you are working with the laws of gender, right? So remember that nothing happens overnight. A baby isn't born one day after. It takes 9 months. So same with our goals, right? It takes time. We're working with the laws in order to get to our goals, but we have to have the faith that it's going to come to us. So if you have doubts, make sure that you are building that faith muscle within you. And what I would recommend for someone who is feeling this way based on, what your goals are, what your purpose is to pull out the book, Think and Grow Rich. There's hundreds and hundreds of stories in here. And I promise you there will be one that really sticks to you because it is in alignment with what you're going for. So I think about here, the story about Henry Ford and his motors. He wanted a motor and he went on and on and on with people saying it's impossible. But he held the faith and he was very persistent in order to get that. So what I would recommend for this person is to look for stories around faith mixed with inspired action towards leaders or people who are going for something that you are interested in or something that is towards your goal.
Very good. I love that saying where you say faith it until you make it. I'm actually going to adopt that because I love that. Oops.
My watch went off.
Okay. She doesn't know what I'm saying. No. And I think that you have to look at, as if principle. So as if you're already there, you've already accomplished your goal, right? So, if you adopted that, then, you're going to be living from your goal achieved and things will just start to shift, right? And before you know it, you're going to be there. So having that faith and just keep moving.
Yeah, I loved what Michelle said in here. The law of assumption, assume what you want to be.
Yes, love that.
Yeah, so good. All right, so our next question is, I let myself get behind with TIR. How do you recommend I catch up?
Okay, this is a good one. First and foremost, you want to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. We all have things that happen in our life. And if you don't forgive yourself, you might just stay there and never get caught up. You never may jump back in. So first and foremost is always forgive yourself. Then just get back into it. Set up a schedule that you can do every day. Can you spend a half an hour, maybe even a couple of hours every day? Set up a schedule, mark it in your calendar. Because I think when you schedule things, I know when you schedule things that it is going to happen. So, and then just work on it daily. Ask yourself again, like, how much time can I dedicate to this? And you have to remember that we're all different. We all learn at different ways. And so you cannot compare yourself to someone else. So if Sydney and I started at the same exact time, she could now be on, lesson 4 and I'm still on lesson 2. I can't let that affect me because I learn at a different pace than her, right? We all learn differently, and we just keep moving forward in the way that we know we can move forward, but set the time aside every day, forgive yourself, and then set up that schedule and just start working away at it again. Don't be afraid to jump back in. You're going to get there, right?
Yeah, I think you said the most important piece there, which was to forgive yourself and give yourself grace, right? We want to make sure that when we jump back into TIR, we're in the right emotional setting, that we feel good about going back into it. We have the feeling that we are ready and it is our time. And, if you feel like you've now stepped back or you're behind on TIR, let's say that you completely stop for a week, maybe notice if that is paradigm. Maybe you have a paradigm around procrastination or putting things off. So when we think of it this way, we understand the idea that how we do one thing is how we do everything. So it's actually a really great place to take feedback and to learn a lesson. Where else are we seeing procrastination happen? Notice it, give it yourself grace, and continue on with building the habit. Something that I did for myself, if you're someone that procrastinates, is that I read chapter 9 of Think and Grow Rich for 90 days straight. I didn't take a day off, and I only read 15 minutes of it. So what I was doing was I was building that procrastination or that persistent muscle, because the opposite of procrastination is persistence. And I used this book to help keep me accountable on top of my study groups, on top of being on the webinars, on top of having an accountability partner. But it goes back to just, giving yourself grace, getting yourself back in. Yeah.
And I like how you referenced, the chapter in Think and Go Rich, and taking the time to really focus on that paradigm of yours, right? So I think at some point we all have that procrastination paradigm that just comes right back, it creeps back in. But I really like how you shared that, spending 90 days, 15 minutes a day, reading that chapter. I'm definitely going to adopt that when that little paradigm starts to walk back into my life. So thank you so much, Sydney.
Of course. And I would say as well that notice where it's happening, right? I noticed that procrastination was happening in my life when I started this work, because even when in the morning, when I would wake up in the morning, I would tap snooze, 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 snooze. So again, how you do one thing is usually how you do everything. So if you're noticing little habits happening, find ways that you can shift those habits for you that work for your schedule, that work and give you the feeling to move forward to what you want.
Awesome. I like that. All right. So we have one more question.
Awesome.
And it is, you mentioned the other day that we need to set standards for ourselves. What did you mean?
Okay, so I'm not sure if this was on study group or a webinar that I wasn't on, but what I took away from this question is that standards for yourself is moving the needle forward every day towards your goal. So me at my goal achieved, what would be my standard? Well, for me personally, I would be reading to enhance my knowledge. I would be continuing my studies because I want to continue my awareness. And I would probably continue physical activity because that's kind of my place where I go to my goal achieved. I talk about my goal. I become besties with my goal while I'm running every day. And what I want you to do when you think about the standards is really about setting a set point for yourself of what you really, really want. And what you really, really want is based upon the actions that you are taking. That is your standard.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I had written down here that, it's the behaviors that we choose, right? So we can choose, because everything's a choice, everything is a decision. We can choose to not move ourselves forward or to move ourselves forward. So setting those standards for yourself that you're going to consistently indulge in to help yourself move forward. Just like Sydney said, going to study group every day. When I first got into study group, I'm like, what time? What time? Like 5:45. What? Because I always stay up late. But I am so grateful now that I'm into this routine. I love study group because, just connecting with that group of people, helping each other raise each other's vibration. It's a chance for us to really open up and to let go of those fears and or those paradigms and not be afraid to talk about them, right? So creating those good behaviors for yourself that's going to help you move in the direction of your goal. And also I think of a personal standard is, are reflected in how are you treating other people? How are you treating yourself first? It's probably different than how you treat other people. Usually that's what happens, but shifting so that you're treating yourself in the way that you treat other people, and then ensuring that, you're always constantly growing your level of awareness and just moving forward towards your goal. And again, using your accountability partner, your study group, they are powerful tools for sure.
I loved what you said around behaviors, because when we look at our behaviors always match our results. So when we can shift our behavior, it creates a different feeling. And we know that feeling is the secret in this work. And so we're able to shift what our standards are. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, love that.
Awesome.
Well, those are all the questions I have. And because of the technology issues, we weren't able to stream live into the Facebook. So there may be other questions that come up once we post this recording. But if you have any questions right now and you want to take yourself off mute, feel free to do that.
I would say as well, if you have a question that comes up from this Q&A, just put it into the chat that this is posted on Facebook, and one of us coaches will get to it, or we'll add it to the Q&A questions for next week and make sure it gets answered.
Yes, that's great. I almost forgot about that. Every week we come on 12 o'clock Wednesday. We always want to have questions. So send your questions in. I think there's a form you can fill out also. Yeah. We're all here to grow with one another.
Yeah.
Learn from one another. So yeah, definitely submit some questions.
Amazing. Well, we'll end it there for today. Thank you so much to everyone who joined, who is watching the recording. We will be back here, as Denise said, next Wednesday at 12 p.m.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. We hope you have a great Wednesday. Is that how Dylan pronounces it?
I think
Wednesday.
so.
Wednesday. We're all winning.
All
All right.
right.
Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.